I stood in courtrooms for 15 years, defending criminals, twisting words and convincing judges that lies were truth. People called me brilliant. Some even called me unstoppable. But the night my heart stopped beating, none of my arguments mattered anymore. Because when I died, I found myself standing in a courtroom far greater than any court on earth. There was no judge I could manipulate, no evidence I could hide, no clever words that could save me. And in that terrifying moment, I discovered something that shattered me to my core. The 3 lies I told again and again in court were the very lies that opened the gates of hell for me. I wish I were making this up, but I am telling this story because Jesus Christ showed me what happens when a man builds his life on deception. And what I saw in those moments after death is something I would never wish on my worst enemy. Before I continue, I want to say something from my heart. If you are listening to this testimony right now, I truly believe it is not by accident. Thank you for being part of this community that listens to stories like mine. Every person who watches, shares, comments, and reflects on these testimonies helps spread a warning that the world desperately needs to hear. Many people today believe hell is just a metaphor or a religious scare tactic. I used to believe that too. But testimonies like this are shared because souls matter. So if you are here listening, thank you. Your presence here could change someone's eternity. My name is Daniel Carter, and before the night I died, I was a criminal defense lawyer living in Chicago. On the outside, my life looked successful. I had a luxury apartment overlooking the city skyline, a black Mercedes parked in my garage, expensive suits hanging in my closet, and clients who paid enormous fees for my services. In the legal world, I was respected. But inside, I was something very different. I grew up in a Christian home. My mother was a devoted woman who prayed every night before bed. She used to read the Bible to me when I was a child. I still remember her voice reading Hebrews 9:27. It is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment. Back then I believed it, but as I grew older, success slowly replaced faith. Law school taught me how to argue anything, even things I knew were wrong. At first, I felt guilty defending criminals I knew were guilty, but money has a way of quieting the conscience. So I started convincing myself of a dangerous lie. Everyone deserves a defense. That statement sounds noble, but I twisted it into something darker. I didn't just defend people, I helped them escape justice. I coached witnesses to bend the truth. I attacked victims in court to make them look unreliable. I manipulated evidence to create doubt. Each victory made me richer and colder. Church slowly disappeared from my life. Prayer stopped. My Bible gathered dust on a shelf. And deep inside, I started believing something else. Hell wasn't real. I used to laugh when religious people warned about judgment. I would say things like, if hell exists, half the lawyers in America will be there. Everyone would laugh. But looking back now, I realize something terrifying. I wasn't joking. I was preparing my own path there. And the 3 lies I repeated constantly in court were slowly sealing my eternal fate. The night everything changed was October 17th, 2019. It had been a long day in court. I had just won a high-profile case defending a man accused of armed robbery. The evidence against him had been overwhelming. But I found a loophole. I discredited the key witness. The jury declared him not guilty. My client hugged me outside the courtroom, thanking me for saving his life. But something about his smile unsettled me. There was no relief in his eyes, only arrogance. Later that night, I went home and poured myself a glass of whiskey. I remember sitting on my couch, staring at the city lights through my window. A strange heaviness filled my chest, At first, I ignored it. Then the pain intensified. It felt like a giant fist squeezing my heart. My breathing became shallow. The glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. I tried to stand up, but my legs collapsed beneath me. And then something happened that I cannot explain with human logic. I suddenly saw my body lying on the floor, but I was standing beside it. My first thought was confusion. How am I seeing myself? The room looked the same, but different. Colors seemed dimmer. The air felt heavier. Then a deep pulling sensation grabbed hold of me. It felt like an invisible force dragging me backward. I tried to resist, but I had no control. The apartment around me faded into darkness. Complete darkness. The silence was overwhelming at first. Then I started hearing something in the distance, screaming. Not ordinary screaming. These were screams filled with agony, terror, and hopelessness. The closer I was pulled toward the sound, the stronger the smell became. Burning, rotting, sulfur. The darkness suddenly opened beneath me like a massive abyss. I was falling into a place where the screams became louder and louder. And that was when I realized something horrifying. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't a hallucination. I had died, and whatever place I was falling into was not heaven. When I landed, the ground beneath my feet felt like cracked stone, scorching hot. The air itself burned my lungs every time I breathed. The sky above me wasn't a sky at all. It was a swirling darkness mixed with flames and thick smoke. Everywhere I looked, there were figures, people, but they didn't look human anymore. Some were crawling on the ground screaming. Others were standing in chains of darkness. Their faces were twisted with unbearable pain. The sound of weeping filled the air. I wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. Then I saw something that froze me. A group of shadowy creatures moved among the suffering souls. Their shapes were terrifying, tall, distorted figures with glowing eyes like burning coals. Every time someone screamed for mercy, they laughed. A cold realization hit me. These were demons. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed across the place like thunder. "The lawyer!" The word echoed again and again. "The lawyer has arrived." Fear consumed me. I shouted, "This must be a mistake. I'm not supposed to be here." But no one listened. Instead, images began appearing in the air around me. Scenes from my life, courtrooms, trials, clients. Then I heard a voice that said, "Your lies brought injustice. Your words set the guilty free." One by one, the 3 lies I told most in court were revealed to me. Lie number 1, the truth cannot be proven. I used this line constantly. Whenever evidence pointed clearly to guilt, I would argue that truth was impossible to know. I made juries doubt what was obvious. But in that place, I suddenly understood something terrifying. God sees truth perfectly. Nothing is hidden. And every time I twisted truth in court, I was helping darkness thrive. Lie number 2. My client deserves freedom. Many of my clients were violent criminals. I knew some of them had hurt innocent people, but I still fought to set them free. As I stood there in that dreadful place, scenes appeared of victims whose lives were destroyed by men I had defended. A young woman crying, a family grieving a murdered son. And a voice spoke again. "You valued victory more than righteousness." I fell to my knees. Lie number 3. Justice is only what the court decides. This was the most dangerous lie of all. I believed human courts defined justice. But in that moment I realized something terrifying. There is a greater court, the court of God. And there, every lie, every hidden motive, every deception is exposed. The demons began dragging me across the burning ground. I could hear people screaming words like, Too late. No second chance. Mercy. The hopelessness in that place was unbearable. I began crying out with everything inside me. God, please forgive me. But the deeper they dragged me, the more hopeless it felt, because the truth hit me like a crushing weight. I deserved to be there. Just as despair completely overwhelmed me, something extraordinary happened. A light appeared in the distance. At first it was faint, but then it grew brighter and brighter. The demons immediately recoiled in terror. The darkness itself seemed to tremble. And then I saw him, Jesus Christ. The light surrounding him was unlike anything I had ever seen. It was pure, powerful, overwhelming. When he looked at me, I felt both love and sorrow at the same time. He spoke gently, but his voice carried authority that shook everything around us. Daniel. Hearing my name broke me completely. I fell to my face, crying uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Then he said something that I will never forget. Justice belongs to God, but mercy is given to those who repent. The chains around me shattered instantly. The demons disappeared. So then he said, Your time has not yet come, but you must return and tell others what you have seen. He showed me one final scripture that burned into my mind. Luke 12:2. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. Then everything faded. When I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed. Doctors told me I had suffered a massive heart attack. They said my heart had stopped for several minutes. But the man who woke up in that hospital bed was not the same man who had collapsed in his apartment. I immediately left my law firm. I could no longer defend criminals the way I used to. Instead, I dedicated my life to helping victims find justice. I returned to church. I began reading the Bible every day, and for the first time since childhood, I prayed with a sincere heart. Money no longer mattered. Reputation no longer mattered. Only one thing mattered now: my soul and the souls of others. Because I had seen what awaits those who build their lives on lies. Hell is not a story. It is not a metaphor. It is a real place of unimaginable regret. Please hear this from someone who stood there. Sin always feels small on earth, but its consequences are eternal. As Galatians 6:7 says, Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. If there is sin in your life, do not wait. Turn back to God today. Thank you for listening to my testimony. If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect on your own life. Eternity is real, and every choice we make matters. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever experienced something that made you rethink eternity? Share your story below. And remember, stay close to God. Stay ready, because life can change in a single moment.